What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Suit Hines Show. Today is April 14th, 2022, and today is Thursday, which means we are 1 week closer from the NFL Draft. We are just 2 weeks away from the 2022 NFL Draft. It does not seem real at all that we are getting this close to draft season. This draft season has really been, flying by compared to other years. So last Thursday, I did my mock draft 1.0. Today's video, we're doing my mock draft 2.0. But this one, there's going to be a couple of trades, and there's a couple of big-time trades. And this one, there's one trade that's in the top 10, and there's another trade towards the end of the first round. I'm sure, lots of you kind of be interested in. So let's go ahead and get started here. Obviously, Jacksonville has the first pick again this season, back-to-back years. And as of right now, it's really looking like, I would say it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson, the edge from Michigan. There's been some reports the past couple of days, maybe, Trayvon Walker, the edge from Georgia, has been gaining some steam as well. I don't really buy it. I think it's a little bit of a smokescreen, because when you get about 2 or 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, there's lots of, rumors that aren't true. It's really a smokescreen season. And I don't buy into the hype that Trayvon Walker will be the first pick overall. I think that's Hutchinson. But I do, however, think that Trayvon Walker will be the second pick overall. That's why I have him going to the Lions with number 2. That should be a great pick up for the Lions, I don't think they need an offensive lineman like Evan Neal or Akeem Ekwonu because the Lions have a very, very underrated offensive line group, one of the most underrated in the league. You can honestly make a case they have a top 10 offensive line group in the NFL. So they take Trayvon Walker at number 2. My last mock draft, I had Houston taking Akeem Ekwonu, number 3. I kind of mixed up a little bit here, and I had them taking Oregon edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeaux. Kayvon Thibodeaux, to me, is one of those guys who, for whatever reason, kind of been falling in some, mock drafts. Some people think he might be uncoachable, but to me, I think it would not be a bad pickup here if Houston goes Kayvon Thibodeaux because, they have 2 first-round picks. They could also maybe take, an edge here at 3, maybe take Thibodeaux, and they can also maybe take an offensive tackle at 13. They really need some offensive tackle help and offensive line help. So maybe they go edge here and then offense tackle at 13 or vice versa. Maybe to take, Akeem Ekwonu here at number 3 and then at 13, if Kayvon Thibodeaux somehow drops to them or, maybe there's other people, maybe, Johnson, Florida State, maybe they like them a lot. Maybe they take him at 13. So I have the Texans taking Kayvon Thibodeaux with a 3rd pick overall. The 4th pick, this pick is the same from last week's. I really think Sauce Gardner ends up going to the Jets at number 4. They like him a ton. Obviously Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded coach, and I think Sauce Gardner will be a tremendous addition to the New York Jets. Secondary, I think he's extremely underrated. You can make a case that Sauce Gardner is the best corner, in this draft. Some people think it might be Stingley from LSU. Some people think it might be Sauce Gardner. But to me, I think Gardner goes here, number 4, to the New York Jets. Number 5, that is New York Giants. And I have them taking Akeem Ekwonu here. And, some Giants fans, they might want an edge rusher or they might want Sauce Gardner. But Sauce Gardner's already gone and the top 3 edge rushers are already gone. The best offense tackle is still on the board. This is a no-brainer here for the New York Giants. New York Giants have had a horrible offensive line for these past couple of years. And that's a big reason why Daniel Jones has been so bad, really ever since he came into the NFL. So to me, I feel like Akeem Ekwonu here going to the New York Giants at number 5 will be a tremendous value pick there for the New York Giants. And up to this point, we're 5 picks in. I would say Akeem Ekwonu is probably the best value pick so far in this early mock draft. Number 6 is where it gets interesting. I said this on one of my videos a couple of days ago. In the first 5 picks, you might kind of have a general idea what a team might do. Like if Akeem Ekwonu drops to 5, I think the Giants run to the podium and they take him. I think that, like I said, I think the Jets take Sauce Gardner. If the Texans don't take offensive tackle at 3, I think they go edge. And vice versa. Like if they take edge at 3, they take offensive tackle at maybe like 13. They got offensive tackle with 3, I think they take edge. The first 2 selections with Jacksonville and Alliance, I think we both, we all kind of know it's going to be Hutchinson and Trayvon Walker. But 6 is where it gets kind of crazy, in my opinion. Because when you look at this Carolina Panthers team, they do not have a 2nd or 3rd round pick. And to me, when you look at all the teams in the top 6, the team who probably needs a quarterback the most amount is the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, they've been linked to Malik Willis, the quarterback of Liberty. They've also been linked to the quarterback of Pittsburgh as well, and Kenny Pickett. So when you look at the quarterbacks, no quarterback has been taken yet. And like I said, Carolina does not have a second or third round pick. I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina trades back, and that's what I have them doing here. I have Carolina trading back with Minnesota. In this trade, Carolina would receive the Minnesota's 12th pick. They're swapping first-round picks. They get their second-round pick this year, a third-round pick this year, and a third-round pick next year. So they swap first. They get Minnesota's 46th overall, which is their second, and their 77th overall pick, which is a third. And they also get a 2023 third-round pick as well. And, whoever Minnesota takes here, they clearly must view them very, very highly. And that's why I have them taking number 6 overall, Derek Stingley Jr., the corner from LSU. Minnesota's secondary, it's getting old. I know they re-signed Patrick Peterson, but their secondary is not as good as it has been in years past. And I could also maybe see a scenario if we see Minnesota, trade up. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe it was Kyle Hamilton instead of Derek Stingley Jr. But to me, Stingley Jr., I've seen some mock drafts have him be, 13, 14. I don't really understand that, honestly. I think he's going to go top 10. It's kind of interesting because, maybe if there's a scenario where the Jets trade back, maybe Stingley's the first corner drafted in the 2022 draft. It should be very interesting. But I have the first big-time trade here with Minnesota trading up to number 6, trading with Carolina to get Derek Stingley Jr., the corner from LSU. Like I said, Kyle Hamilton, if Minnesota trades up, that's someone else to also consider there. I have the Giants taking him at number 7 overall. They can use some secondary help. I think Kyle Hamilton is extremely underrated. That's a great pickup there for the New York Giants. Number 8, my last mock draft, I had the Falcons taking Malik Willis. I kind of changed that here, and I had them taking Garrett Wilson. It's looking more and more likely that the Falcons will take a wide receiver in the first round. They probably have the worst wide receiver group in the NFL right now, and Garrett Wilson from Ohio State is getting some steam to possibly be the 8th pick overall, drafted to Atlanta. So I have him going there with the Falcons with the 8th overall pick. Number 9 belongs to the Seattle Seahawks. And a big reason why Russell Wilson wanted to leave Seattle was because they would never, improve their offensive line. Their offensive line was always horrible during Russell Wilson's time with Seattle. And Evan Neal drops number 9 here. I think that's a no-brainer for the Seattle Seahawks. That's why I have them taking offensive tackle from Alabama, Evan Neal, with a 9th overall pick. Let's see here. Number 10, that belongs to the New York Jets. The Jets have 2 top 10 picks. And right here, I have the Jets taking defensive tackle from Georgia, Jordan Davis. Like I said, Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded coach. And, he coached DeForest Buckner during his time with San Francisco, one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. So maybe he can kind of get, his great defensive tackle and his star defensive tackle and Jordan Davis here kind of like how DeForest Buckner was in San Francisco, but with New York instead. I like this pick quite a bit here. I would not be surprised at all if this happens. There's not a whole ton of mock drafts having Jordan Davis here 10th overall, but I really think it needs to be talked about more. As we continue here, Washington picks Chris Olave, the wide receiver from Ohio State. I like this pick a lot. Terry McLaurin's contract is coming up relatively soon. Curtis Samuel this past season he did not live up to the contract he signed with Washington. During his time, even when he was healthy, he just did not really play well. He was injured some of his past season. Getting some more receiver help for Washington, I think, would be great for Carson Wentz or Heineke or whoever will be the quarterback for Washington. Like I said, there was a trade in the top 10 between the Carolina Panthers and the Minnesota Vikings. And, the Carolina Panthers had the 6th pick and the Vikings had the 12th pick. So, obviously, they swapped first-round picks there. So, this would be the Vikings pick, but since that trade, 12th overall now belongs to the Carolina Panthers. And to me, I think this is a no-brainer. This is 100% best-case scenario here for the Carolina Panthers. You trade back. You get a second-round pick and a third-round pick. You don't have either one of those, but after this trade back, you get both, and you get your franchise quarterback in Kenny Pickett. I love this trade. This might be my favorite pick of this entire mock draft here. I think this would be phenomenal for Carolina. I don't get how you would not be excited for the Panthers if this would work out for them here. Kenny Pickett, he originally committed to Temple University. At that time, Panthers head coach Matt Rule was the head coach at Temple University. That's something to really look at there. Kenny Pickett, I think, has potential to be the best quarterback in this draft class. And it's very interesting when you look at some quarterbacks. Some people might say, Desmond Ritter might be the best quarterback, but at the same time, you see somebody who has Ritter fourth or fifth, and that could be the same thing said for Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. This quarterback class is really up in the air, but I think, Carolina, I think they hit a home run pick here with trading back to get Kenny Pickett, a guy who I think they would want at 6. They still get their guy despite a trade back, and they get some, lots of draft capital in that as well. Phenomenal job there by Carolina. As we continue here, like I said, the Houston Texans have 2 first-round picks, and with their second first-round pick, they take Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. Like I said, I think if they take edge first, they take offensive tackle second. If they take offensive tackle first, I think they might take edge or maybe even wide receiver with their second first-round pick. As we continue here, the Baltimore Ravens take Trent McDuffie, the corner from Washington, 14th overall. And, that is a big leap from my last mock draft. I had McDuffie in the mid-20s last week, but, he's kind of getting some steam. He's looking like he's going to be a top 15 pick when you look at more mock drafts and, the reports of him and everything. So I have him going 14th overall to Baltimore. 15, I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. I know they drafted Devontae Smith last season, but I still think, they can use some more wide receiver help. I'm not totally sold on Jalen Hurts, but if you want to see what Jalen Hurts can do, you got to give him weapons. And I think Drake London here with 15th overall pick will be great by Philadelphia. And on my last mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons, 8th overall, I had Malik Willis going there. I do have Malik Willis being drafted to an NFC South team, but it's not the Falcons. It is instead the New Orleans Saints. And this is very interesting to me because when this first trade happened with the Saints trading up and giving up a ton of draft capital, trading with the Philadelphia Eagles, there was a couple of different positions that kind of came to mind, in my opinion. Obviously, offensive tackle losing to Teron Armstead. Wide receiver, they have nobody aside from Michael Thomas. And Michael Thomas didn't even play a snap last season. But to me, I feel like right here, if Malik Willis was available, I think they would definitely go offensive tackle, wide receiver. But the fact that Malik Willis has dropped to 16, I kind of feel like it's a scenario where the New Orleans Saints just cannot pass up on Malik Willis here. I know they have Andy Dalton. They signed him to a 1-year deal. And they extended the contract of Jamison Winston for a 2-year contract. I think Jamison Winston is very underrated. And I think he could be good with the Saints. Last season he was pretty good until he got injured. But looking at the Saints here, I think they traded up to get an offensive tackle wide receiver. But I think, they might change your mind if Malik Willis is here at 16. I think he's just too good of a player for him to pass up. There at 16. So Malik Willis goes to New Orleans Saints at number 16. As we continue here at number 17, the LA Chargers take Jamison Williams. I know lots of Chargers fans would be really happy about this. I've seen lots of people say if Williams drops to 17, that's the player they want him there. I mean, if you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jamison Williams, Justin Herbert as your quarterback, and all the moves they made in the offseason, we're looking at possibly the favorites, not just in the AFC West, but I think possibly in the AFC, and maybe even whole NFL, who knows. But I think, getting more weapons for Justin Herbert, it's never a bad idea. But I love that idea to get Jamison Williams with the 17th pick overall. Philadelphia Eagles, they are one of many teams to have multiple first-round picks in this year's 2022 NFL Draft. And when you look at them this past season, in the offseason, recently, they cut Fletcher Cox, but they were able to re-sign him on a cheaper deal. He's getting up there in age. He is nowhere near what he used to be. He's not one of the best defense tackles in the league anymore. He's kind of past his prime. So to me, I think getting Devontae White, a defensive tackle from Georgia here with the 18th pick overall, would be great for Philadelphia. He's somebody who kind of get mentored by Fletcher Cox, who could possibly end up being a future Hall of Famer. And, he's going to be the replacement for Fletcher Cox once he eventually retires, which I think would be probably within a year or two. But I love that pick there for Philadelphia with the 18th pick overall. Like I said, I thought the Saints traded up to get an offensive tackle or wide receiver. But at 16 with Malik Willis there, it was just too good of a player for them to pass up. but they still get their guy that I personally believe that they probably wanted at 16 in Trevor Pending. Trevor Pending is an offensive tackle from Northern Iowa University, one of the small schools. But Northern Iowa has had several players be pretty good. Last year they had Ellerson Smith, the edge rusher, get drafted. They've had David Johnson. I believe they've also had Kurt Warner as well. So you could knock on Northern Iowa's competition, but they've had several kind of big time players come out of that college. But Trevor Pending to me is the best offensive tackle here, and they desperately need some offensive tackle help because they lost Teron Armstead to the Miami Dolphins in the offseason. Great pickup there for the Saints. And if you get Malik Willis and Trevor Pending here for the New Orleans Saints, that is a pretty good draft here for the Saints, in my opinion. Here at number 20, this is very interesting. I've seen some mock drafts have the Steelers trade up and get Kenny Pickett. I've seen some mock drafts have Kenny Pickett drop to 20 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really hope Kenny Pickett does not go to the Steelers. Obviously, me being a Bengal fan, I think Kenny Pickett would thrive with Pittsburgh. But obviously, since him and Malik Willis are gone, the Desmond Ritter hype train has been absolutely crazy this past week or so. I've seen stuff, he's looking like now he's a lock to be a top 20 pick. Some people like Desmond Ritter out of, all the quarterbacks, which to me is kind of surprising. But I have the Steelers picking Desmond Ritter here, the quarterback of Cincinnati. They like him a ton. This does make quite a bit of sense here. They're going to take a quarterback. I think it's just a matter of who and what player drops. If Pickett drops or Malik Willis somehow drops to 20, in my opinion, I think they probably take Willis or Pickett over Ritter. But since both those quarterbacks are gone, getting Ritter here at the 20th pick is a great pickup here by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it should be very interesting to see how Ritter plays in Pittsburgh. But moving on here at 21, the New England Patriots. They take Devin Lloyd, the linebacker at Utah. They could use some more linebacker help there. Pick number 22, I don't have the Packers taking a wide receiver here, but I do have them taking wide receiver with their other first-round pick. They take Jermaine Johnson here, the edge rusher from Florida State. They could really use some edge rusher help, and Johnson's dropped this far. I think, it's one of those scenarios, kind of like with the Saints. They kind of have a position in mind, but there's this player who's just too good to pass up. And they take Johnson here with a 22nd pick overall. 23, the Arizona Cardinals. I have them taking Tyler Linderbaum here, the center from Iowa University. They can use some more interior offensive lineman help. They do have Rodney Hudson, but he's getting up there in age, and he missed quite a few games last season. So I think getting some more offensive line help for Kyler Murray could be very good because, Kyler Murray, before he was injured, was having an MVP-like season, but his offensive line was still not very good. I think any Tyler Linderbaum here would be great for Arizona. We have another offensive lineman here going with the next pick. That is the Dallas Cowboys at 24. I have them taking Zion Johnson, the guard from Boston College. The Cowboys lost Connor Williams in the offseason to the Miami Dolphins. They can use some interior offensive line help as well, so that's why I have them taking Zion Johnson at 24. 25, the Buffalo Bills. I have them taking a corner from Clemson, Andrew Booth Jr. I think it's a great pickup there. I think that's probably, you can make a case, maybe best player available, and that's a team need. I think that's an A-plus pick there for the Buffalo Bills. And 26, this is where this mock draft kind of gets crazy. This is not a trade, but a really shocking pick to some. But when you look at the Tennessee Titans, the Tennessee Titans have been one of the most underrated teams in the NFL over the last couple of seasons. This past season, they were the number one seed in the AFC, which is really, kind of weird when you think about it. When they played the Cincinnati Bengals in the divisional round this past season, the Bengals were barely able to beat the Tennessee Titans, despite Ryan Tannehill having 3 turnovers in that game. If Ryan Tannehill plays average football, the Titans would have won that game. If Ryan Tannehill is more average and he can step up and elevate his team at times, this Titans team is definitely a Super Bowl contender. But I don't think the Titans will ever take the next hump and take the next leap as Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback. So that's why, I'm kind of having a shock pick here at 26. The Titans, I have them taking quarterback from Ole Miss, Matt Corral. When you look at the Titans and, Ryan Tannehill, as crazy as this sounds, Ryan Tannehill is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the 2022 season. But after that season, Ryan Tannehill's contract drops quite a bit. And lots of fans think this might be Tannehill's last season with the Titans, and I personally would agree with him here. Tannehill is a guy who will never elevate the Tennessee Titans. He's never going to take the Titans to a Super Bowl. If you have a quarterback on your team, and if he cannot take you to a Super Bowl, or you don't think he's capable of taking your team to the championship game, you have to move on and get a better quarterback. And I think that's exactly what the Tennessee Titans would do here at 26. I think it's possible. I'm not going to say, this is 100% going to happen, but I will say I think this, when you look at this, I think this needs a little more momentum, and it's slightly more talked about than people are talking about. I'm not seeing anybody talking about it at all, but 26 here, Matt Corral at Tennessee, in my opinion, is something to look into. Especially, we've seen crazy quarterbacks, taken, in the first round these past couple of years. Nobody thought the Packers were going to trade up and take Jordan Love, a possible, Aaron Rodgers replacement at the time. Obviously, we saw how that worked out. But Matt Corral here at 26, I think is something to keep an eye on as we are just 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. As we continue here, after that kind of shocking pick there with the Tennessee Titans taking Matt Corral, 27 belongs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost Ali Marpet due to him retiring, and they also lost Alex Kappa to the Cincinnati Bengals, signing for a multi-year deal with the Bengals. So I think getting some interior offensive line help, getting Kenyon Green, the guard from Texas A&M, is a really nice pick there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 28, I said the Packers did not take a wide receiver with their first-round pick, but I take a wide receiver here with their second first-round pick, and I take Arkansas wide receiver Treylon Burks. That's the best player available, I would say, in my opinion. Team need A-plus pick there for the Green Bay Packers. They signed Sammy Watkins today, but I really don't think that means anything. I still think they attack wide receiver very, very early in the draft. 29 and 30 both belong to the Kansas City Chiefs. 29, I had them taking Daxton Hill, the safety from Michigan. Losing Tyrann Mathieu is going to hurt them quite a bit. They can use some more safety help there. So I have Daxton Hill going to 29 to Kansas City. And then 30 here, I had them taking a wide receiver. And the Chiefs have been linked to George Pickens quite a bit. And honestly, even the Packers have too. So I wouldn't be surprised if George Pickens maybe would end up with Kansas City maybe at 29 or 30, or maybe the Packers, burst Kansas City's bubble and take them a pick before Kansas City does. But George Pickens has been linked to the Packers and Chiefs quite a bit. Obviously, with them trading Tyreek Hill, you're going to expect them to take a wide receiver early. Maybe they trade up and take maybe Chris Olave or something like that. Who knows? But I have the Chiefs drafting George Pickens, the wide receiver from Georgia. If it wasn't for his injury issues, he would be drafted much higher. But Pickens goes to Kansas City at 30th overall. And, I already talked about, a trade earlier in the top 10. When you look at some of these players here at 31, Kair Elam, David Ojabo, George Karlaftis, the edge rusher from Purdue, Tariq Woolen, Kyler Gordon, both very good corners. Roger McCreary, the corner from Auburn, Jalen Petrie, the safety from Baylor, are all still available. And to me, I think this is a scenario where we can maybe see the Cincinnati Bengals trade back. This is something we have seen so many times in years past. In the second round, the Cincinnati Bengals traded back to get Joe Mixon. They traded back to get Drew Sample. They traded back to get Jackson Carman. They traded back to get Jesse Bates. I know this is a first-round pick here, but it's basically like a second-round pick due to it. It's just a second-to-last pick in the first round. I have the Cincinnati Bengals trading back here with the Seattle Seahawks, and I love this trade here for both teams. In this trade, Cincinnati will receive Seattle's second-round pick, so 40th pick overall, and they will also receive Seattle's third-round pick, the 72nd pick overall. Seattle on this trade will receive the Bengals' first-round pick, which is 31st overall, and they will also Seattle will receive the Bengals' 7th-round pick, which is 252nd overall. Very good chance that pick doesn't even make the team, so I just threw it in there to kind of help their case for that trade with the Seattle Seahawks. And to me, I really think this helps out both teams here because it's one of those scenarios when all those really good talented players are still available for Cincinnati. I think it would be in their best interest to trade back. And if you're still able to get one of those guys and you get more draft capital, I think that's a win-win for Cincinnati. And we've seen it so many times. I would not be shocked one bit if it happens again. And the reason I think Seattle trades up is because when you look at the quarterbacks right now, the teams who are in the quarterback market, the Seattle Seahawks are in the quarterback market. They have Drew Lock, but he has 1 year on his contract. They signed Geno Smith today to a 1-year deal worth $7 million, but Geno Smith and Drew Lock are both free agents 1 year from now. They are very interested in Baker Mayfield, but when you look around all the quarterbacks in the NFL right now coming into the 2022 NFL draft, Sam Howell to me is exactly like Baker Mayfield. And that's why I think the Seattle Seahawks take Sam Howell with the 31st pick overall. I think they jump the Detroit Lions, and I think they jump the New York Giants, 2 teams who could possibly get a quarterback just a couple picks after this pick here. And something else to consider with this trade here, this is very good for the Seattle Seahawks because they trade up to get a quarterback in the first round. They get that 5th-year option, which is very critical and crucial and important in today's NFL. So I think getting Sam Howell here for the Seattle Seahawks is an amazing, amazing pick. And it's also a great trade back here for Cincinnati. So now you have 2 second-round picks and 2 third-round picks. Maybe with one of those second-round picks, you can get Tariq Woolen and maybe even Trey McBride if he would fall, the tight end from Colorado State. So I love this trade for both teams here so much. As we continue here with the final pick of this mock draft 2.0, I had the Detroit Lions taking Nakobe Dean, the linebacker from Georgia. I know lots of Lions fans like Nakobe Dean, and the Lions have been linked to Nakobe Dean quite a bit as well. Nakobe Dean was on one of their top 30 visits. They can use some more linebacker help. I really think it makes a lot of sense for the Lions here at 32, the final pick of the first round. And if you're the Lions, you have to be so upset that Seattle jumped you and they took Sam Howell, because I think if Sam Howell or Matt Corral or any one of those top 5 quarterbacks is there with the final pick of the first round, I think the Lions take them. But since, all those quarterbacks are gone, they end up taking Nakobe Dean with the final pick of the first round. So this is my, mock 2.0 with trades. Let me know what you think. That kind of does it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel or if you've seen my videos before, I would really, really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time on Sports Dude Hine Show.